When we become adults, we're excited to gain our independence. We fixate on goals like starting a career, finding love, acquiring things that we desire that maybe our parents couldn't or wouldn't provide. It feels all like freedom, and there's a lot to look forward to. We make mistakes, and it can be a bit of a bumpy ride, but we're so set on achieving the next level that when we fall, we just get back up on the horse and keep trying, keep going. Goals often look really quantifiable. We climb the ladder at work because we want to become a manager. We go on a zillion dates because we're dreaming of that beautiful wedding, nuclear family, a gaggle of kids. We yearn to buy a home or to go on fantastic vacations. We live off all these highs, these accomplishments for years. We feel successful. We start to check off the boxes. We have something to aspire to, and that keeps us going. But what happens when the shine wears off? When we start checking the boxes of all the things we think we want and we think we should do? What happens when we realize we're not so sure if we wanted those things in the first place? Many of us are left feeling hollow, bored, disillusioned with life. We start to feel bogged down by the monotony of regular work, parenting, doing all the home admin, and wonder, is this all there is? What is the point? If you are looking for a change to make your life more meaningful or just feel that youthful shine again, this episode is for you. Life, your weekly boost of confidence, clarity, and courage for women done playing small. I'm your host and certified life coach, tech leader, teacher, and mom. Let's do the work. So many of us choose jobs or careers for reasons other than passion. We just fall into them. They are second, third, or even last options chosen because of other circumstances in our lives. You really wanted to be a psychiatrist, but felt like, oh, that requires too much schooling. So you became a teacher and realized that at the end of the day, you spent that much time in school anyway. So why didn't you just go after what you wanted? Did you not believe in yourself? Or maybe did others dissuade you from following your dreams? Maybe you wanted to be an actress or a musician, but your family constantly reminded you that those careers wouldn't make you any money. You would have to be crazy to throw your life away on a fantasy, right? Or you joined the family business because it was expected of you to help out. That's just what people did. Maybe you just fell into a series of jobs because you didn't see any options beyond paying the bills and putting food on the table. There wasn't any time, or there wasn't the luxury of making dreams come true at all for you. Maybe nobody told you about college financial aid as an option, or you just couldn't see a way to move beyond the circumstances of your life. There are so many variations of these stories that we share. Explanations, excuses, reasons from our youth that do make a lot of sense and did definitely at the time. But today we know we have choices, we have options, we have a lot of power, and we can redesign our lives and become anything we want, as long as we have the drive and some resourcefulness. In addition to coaching, I work in the tech industry. So I'm a people leader. I focus on educational strategy and creating innovative learning solutions. So what does that mean? I design training for professionals, for sales reps, and I do it in a whole bunch of really cool ways. Simulation, virtual reality, as well as video and e-learning. I certainly ended up in an interesting niche, but I didn't set out with this career as an end goal. In fact, I wouldn't have been able to do so because one, I didn't know it existed, and two, if I had, I wouldn't have imagined it for myself. I didn't exactly fall into it either, though. As I built a career in education, I started to get an awareness of what specifically I enjoyed doing in each role that I had and decided to niche down from there with the goal of becoming more of an expert, getting better promotions, and I learned to love the industry where I ended up. I have a good sense of who I am as an individual and where I find meaning in life. I always think of myself as a teacher and learner. I can remember being 6 or 7 years old playing school by myself at home. There were no students, of course, but I had somehow acquired all of these old school books and enjoyed pretending that I was out there in the workforce. I'd sit at my desk and, I don't know, correct papers or something like that. From early on, it became clear that I wanted to help people and that I really enjoyed the preparation, getting everything into place just so. As a teacher, I enjoyed creating learning experiences, particularly in areas I'm passionate about: social justice, critical thinking, personal growth, and I've always been naturally drawn to writing as a form of self expression. I like to work and connect with people on a one on one basis, and I've always loved kids. It's no surprise that these personal interests and core values have been interwoven throughout my career as a teacher, instructional designer, leader, and coach. What are you passionate about as an individual? What really lights you up? And how much of that do you get to do in your work life? I hope that you get to do some of those things. In order to figure out how you want to spend the next chapter of your life, you have to get to know who you are at the core and what you really enjoy doing, and also what you don't. I found fulfillment throughout my careers, but I've constantly been driven by an unknown force to always accomplish more, be more, get more, expand more. Why? I'm not sure. It's part of who I am. For so long, I had the goal of getting into leadership or management. I wanted to be seen as an expert. I wanted to lead people. Then it was attaining ownership over a pillar area at work. So I was really driven with that as a goal. Once I reached a level where I was content and had been striving and busting my ass for so long to prove myself, I finally decided it was time to just stay put for a while. I was really burned out from climbing the corporate ladder for so many years. Well, every year I focus on some core goals related to work: health and wellness, finances, relationships, and home. Usually there are one or two in each category, but then there's a big one as well. Well, that year, my goal was actually to have no goals for the year. I had been treating myself as a human doing rather than a human being for so long. This constant action of moving and shaking up the ladder was exhausting me. I was depleted and I didn't want to totally spin out. I wanted to stop and enjoy the world that I'd created for myself, to just rest and rejuvenate, to pause on this attainment track, which my life seemed to have become. I wanted to think about what was next. Sometimes we need to switch gears, take a break, recharge. It can't always be a time of growth. Sometimes it needs to be a time of rest. I'd recently moved to Arizona during COVID, so this was a great time to slow down and just enjoy the world around me. The desert scenery was breathtaking. I spent time in Sedona hiking. I found an amazing Reiki healer who I absolutely adore. I spent lots of time doing meditation. They have all of these amazing crystal stores, right? So I'd get crystals and restore my energy. I was really embracing the natural and spiritual world, and it was a really healing time for me. I was spending all that time looking in rather than looking out for the next big thing. I was focusing on non movement. But no matter how hard we try to control the life around us, the reality is we cannot. Around this time, something in my work life began to just feel off. I was now a permanently remote employee, which I loved, but I started to become increasingly dissatisfied at work. I was so frustrated and started to get mentally caught up in these negative situations that seemed to always be surrounding me at work. Why couldn't everyone just play nice and get along like we used to? Professionally, I was starting to feel cynical and bitter, and that just wasn't me. I was also feeling boxed in by the lack of opportunities for creativity. It seemed like I was in meetings all day long, which I was, and it became an extension of the increasingly heavy process we were creating around everything we did. It was bureaucracy, red tape. There was no innovation time, and it left me just feeling kind of bored and frustrated with my role. I was trying to enact change to streamline processes, and I was being met with resistance and worse, poisonous work culture. For the most part, I had loved where I had worked. And it is my belief, though, that there is always 5% of the population that is nasty and poisonous. And if you let it, that 5% can ruin you. Or you can see the other 95% of the population in the positive and not let it ruin you. My surroundings were changing. I had achieved the role I worked so hard for, but the meaning in my work began to fall away. I was overwhelmed with negativity and I was confused about my purpose there. And so I started working with a life coach. Through the next couple months, my coach and I started talking about this work problem I was having. I'm not even sure what I was hoping to achieve at the time: clarity, support in figuring out the next step, just someone to rant to, that at a bare minimum. I just knew that I was feeling stuck and I needed a way out. I was miserable for seemingly no good reason. I was doing what I'd been doing for years. What had changed? Coaching was just what I needed. I had worked for a great company, best in the industry, good pay, great stock, and I had intended to stay for a long time. Maybe I'd even be a lifer there. I was attached. I wasn't actually looking to make a job change. I guess I was hoping to fix some problem inside me that would allow me to be happy in an environment where I had become a misfit. This job had really become a major part of my identity, how I viewed myself in the world. So who would I be if I quit? But no matter how hard we try to fit into a situation we wish would work, it's not possible. Life doesn't work that way. Often, either it is outside changes that affect us, internal changes that affect our happiness, or both. In a nutshell, life changes, circumstances change, and we change always. My life coach helped me unravel some of the core barriers keeping me stuck and confused. As is the norm in coaching, she didn't tell me what to do, but she helped me unravel my thoughts and feelings around work. And spoiler, I got into other areas of my life as well. She also helped me to find my own solution and a new happy path. Lo and behold, in just a few months, I had made a truly unexpected shift, a total life transition, really. So the short and sweet version is that I ended up applying for and got this role that better aligned with my core values and needs. It allowed for creative innovation, instructional design that I liked, positive culture, work environment, and there was opportunity for growth. So I said bye-bye to my old row and boom, crisis averted, problem solved. I was positive about the future and finding meaning in my work life again. It took me some time to disengage from the old identity I'd created for myself. And luckily, with the coach's help, I was able to move that along. I had come to terms with the idea that I no longer wanted to be that person at that company with those people on some level. In order to find the strength, the drive, the initiative to jump ship, I had to look at what the possibilities were for me in the future. Looking back now, I can see that the confusion, the personal turmoil, the angry, the anger, the frustration, those were all a natural part of going through an internal transition to break away from the old version of me. That internal change was what allowed me to get to the end and then a new beginning. If I hadn't started on that path looking like destruction, anger, irritation, unhappiness, I wouldn't have been able to make that intentional ending turn into a new beginning. I had to let that version of what I had planned for my life all go. To take a leap of faith, and it was a leap of faith. I had some things that I didn't want to lose in that old role. I took the leap of faith that there was the possibility of something even bigger and better for me on the other side. And I'm glad I did. Joseph Campbell said, "You must be willing to let go of the life you've planned so as to have the life that's waiting for you." The second act is our opportunity to redesign our lives, to align with what is most valuable to us now. The second act is an opportunity to find meaning and purpose in something new and different. Or maybe it is just a way to bring meaning and purpose to the place where we already are. We can make big shifts or small shifts. In work life, it may mean making a small shift, like finding a new role in the same field, to get back to a passion or core area that drives you. Or it may mean taking a bigger shift, a bold leap from corporate life to starting your own business. Or maybe your second act involves a little of both. What if you could make a shift to start something new in your life, something that lights you up, without having to leave behind your job or your family or your home? Positive change doesn't require you to do either or. You get to decide on the pace. You get to decide on the timing. So many of us are still living in the past. We defined success with the values and beliefs that previous generations instilled in us. That's the idea that we decide at one point when we're virtually children what we want to do as a job, seemingly for the rest of our lives. Like, oh, what do you want to be when you grow up? Well, I want to be this, and then I'm going to do that forever and ever and ever. We stick with it, damn it. We are supposed to get promoted up the ladder, retire on a pension with the same company, right? Like our grandfathers. But for the majority of us, that path to success no longer even exists. Not only can we not count on companies to be in business for that many years, we can't count on organizations to take care of us. Everything's changing so fast. When engaging with direct reports in professional development, I always remind them to think about their own needs and passions when driving their personal careers, as the rest of it is outside of their control. Technology changes so fast that many jobs and industries are becoming obsolete throughout our adult lifetimes. We have to adapt. We have to shift as the world shifts around us. Today, what it means to go to work has changed rapidly. Every year, a third of the workforce changes jobs. Younger generations expect to find even more meaning, more purpose, satisfaction in their work life. They want faster success. We now have so many options to be entrepreneurial. As global online businesses or social media influencers, we're not bound by the constraints of typical jobs, traditional office walls, or the limited options that we felt of our youth. A big reason that I started podcasting was to express myself. I wanted to share all of the passions and ideas that I have with a community, to build a group of women like me going through similar life events, those building careers and businesses, experiencing second act transitions, struggling with relationships or parenting, and exhausted by all of the responsibilities of life. These life events often lead us to big feelings: frustration, anger, exhaustion, worry, FOMO, fury. The fury. As women, as mothers, married or single mothers, pet mamas, single non mamas, aging beauties, it's hard for all of us. The more blessings we have, parenthood, a significant love relationship or marriage, pets, a big home, a business, a sweet car, the more complicated things seem to get. I became a life coach to help other women sort through the complexities of their lives, to redesign some aspect of their lives into a rebellious second act. We don't have to accept the life we've made for ourselves. We get to redesign our future selves and future lives at any point. Listen to that. Many women in their 40s are looking for an overhaul on some aspect of their lives: relationships, marriage, kids, pets, homeownership, finances, careers, superficial things. Check, check, check. But many of us are looking for a revamp in some of those areas to find more meaning, happiness, growth, or impact. Maybe we're looking to get rid of some of those things that aren't working out for us and that have been dragging us down. Now what, we ask? If you were to overhaul some aspect of your life right now, what would it be? If nothing were standing in your way, what would you want for yourself? What do you no longer want more of? Once you're in that zone of feeling stuck, unhappy, frustrated with the state of things, it's difficult to figure out how to move beyond it, let alone to figure out how to end it and start a new beginning. You really have to get quiet. In order to figure out the answers to your conundrum, you need to create some space to really listen to your emotions, to your body. You cannot do that if you're filling up the void with constant distractions and unhealthy habits. Too much wine drinking, spending all of your time on social media. Earlier this year, I deleted all of my personal social media accounts. Just totally wiped them for good. I had to wait the full 30 days on Facebook to get rid of it and everything. Why? Because I was wasting too much time death scrolling. I was getting involved in all of these political discussions, and it was not a positive outlook for me. It was a gigantic waste of my time. So what distractions, deflections, time wasters, excuses are you using for not moving forward? Maybe you don't even realize how much of a time suck it is spending time on social media, or maybe it's just complaining about your life. That's also a major time suck that leaves you stuck. Exchange your distractions for something more productive. Find a creative outlet or a passion project. And don't say, I don't have any hobbies. I don't have any passions. I've always enjoyed writing and building relationships on a one-on-one basis. Podcasting and coaching provided the perfect outlet for me to exercise those hidden passions that make me tick, but allow me also to share my gifts with the world. In opening up to the world, instead of just going inward, alone, isolated, distracting, you might find new communities that you didn't even know existed. We get so focused on living inside our heads. Well, there's a whole world out there who could give you support and benefit from your mutual desire for growth and change. So who can you share your gifts with? Finally, go back and check in on all of your squelched dreams and aspirations. I wanted to be a singer in the back of my mind for most of my life, but I was too afraid to go out there and really try. So a few years back, I decided to see, okay, what if? Instead of, carrying on with this old narrative where I just felt like, oh, I never had the capacity and the drive to do so, I challenged myself to take a single step in the direction of becoming a singer. I wanted to see, was I just bullshitting myself with this story? Or is there something to it? So I took an online singing course. It was this well-known producer. It was a month-long course. It had all of these weekly assignments, which required us to select songs and record and share our singing. Like we had to share with actual humans in the course. That was interesting. It really forced me to be vulnerable with a community of like minded people, and it was fun. I mean, it was a little nerve wracking. However, I enjoyed it, and I also discovered that the course was enough to close the loop on that part of my brain that always wondered if I had missed out on some opportunity or some lifelong passion by not taking my voice to Hollywood. But I'm good now. The point is that sometimes you need to take a few steps in the right direction or wrong direction to find out what you really want versus what you don't. What's worth fighting for and what isn't. What should just be a hobby versus what should you be doing for your job or a career. If you never try to go after what you want, you'll certainly never get it, will you? The Bold Life podcast is designed to provide inspiration, tools, and support for women wanting to find success and happiness on their own terms. I'll share the tools I have gathered over the years in doing hard things and going through hard things. God knows I have enough to share there. I'll help you redirect your thoughts, feelings, and actions to achieve results that you want in driving your second act for your life, rather than the results that you seem to keep getting. If you're serious about creating a second act where you thrive in a life full of meaning, passion, and impact, schedule a strategy call with me at theboldlife.coach. I'm happy to help. See you here next week for another episode of The Bold Life with Jamesyn.